Move the microphone over here. Probably works better that way. Having the microphone in my face, definitely a plus. All right, and then we also need to just make sure that everything is working the way it's supposed to. So how are you guys doing tonight? Obviously, just started the live stream and doing all of the live stream setup stuff here. If you guys ever have any questions about how I do the live stream, what software I use, all that kind of thing, just let me know. I'm more than happy to share. Let me just go in here. Oh. It says I'm streaming. Doesn't look like LinkedIn has picked it up yet. Let me see what Facebook says we are streaming, so that's a good thing. And let's see what YouTube has to say. Like usual, I'm just checking to make sure all the live streams are working. All right. YouTube says that we are streaming. Perfect. Let's go back and see what LinkedIn has to say. Well, it looks like maybe we missed the boat on LinkedIn tonight. Not sure why it didn't start the live stream there, but you know, can't do everything right all the time. And this is kind of a casual night because we don't really, well, we might have a guest. In fact, I should probably go send Mr. Beckers an email. All right. And I seem to be missing a window. Let's see if I can get all of this done. Before we actually have to start. Okay, it says that the interview screen is here somewhere, but I don't know where. Is it over there? Nope, it's not over there. Let me check here. Nope. Well, we might just have to apologize to Mr. Becker this evening because for whatever reason, It is not letting me pull up the window so that I can add interviewees to the show tonight. All right, well, you know what? The counter's down to 0. It is 7 o'clock. So let's get this party started. Welcome, everybody. Welcome back to All Things MSP. This is kind of an ad hoc session tonight. I labeled it in the promo just an Ask Me Anything. We're just kind of going to roll with it tonight. Probably going to be a little bit shorter one. Let me see if I can pull up. I probably need to see if I can pull up the chat window. Let me see if I can find that. But in the meantime, please, let me know on whatever platform you might be watching this on right now, where you're watching us from, and if you have any questions. But this could be a little bit hard to do. Yeah, this is so much fun. Okay, let me try something over here. Let me minimize that. Obviously, that's not helpful. Oh, there it is. So, okay. Found the comments window. So feel free to go ahead and put something in the comments. Let me know that you are here, because I do see that 2 people are watching already, which is great. And other than that, all right. So, stuff that we can talk about tonight. Just let me know what questions you have. Obviously, we started the new podcast. So if you haven't checked out the new podcast, do that. It's simply called All Things MSP. Justin Escar is the host. I am the co-host, and we've had some really interesting guests lately. The first podcast with a guest will come out, I believe, next Tuesday. That's right, next Tuesday. So those are going to keep on coming. We've got several recorded so that we don't miss a beat. They will come out every Tuesday, so look for those. Typically, the podcast itself, the audio version, should show up well before your morning commute on Tuesday morning. I think I publish like at 1 o'clock in the morning Eastern time, so that it gets out there and propagates to all of the podcast platforms. We definitely we're on iTunes. We are on Apple Podcasts. We are on Spotify. We are on Audible. Most of the major platforms. Google. We're on Google. And then later in the day, I always set the YouTube premiere, because we do record video along with them as well. I do that one I premiere it at 3 p.m. Eastern time in the afternoon. So if you prefer to watch your podcasts, feel free to do that there. Now, along those same lines, I've been kind of not really good at making sure that we do all of the things to make sure that people are connecting everywhere. So if you're watching this not on Facebook, please be aware that the original group, the place where this all started, was on Facebook. So facebook.com/groups/all things MSP. Go ahead and join there, because that's where the bulk of this community resides, right? And then we also have LinkedIn. So we did create a LinkedIn page this year, so that people who strictly like to stay on LinkedIn would have a way to connect, be notified when things pop up, when we do the live streams, when we do the podcasts. All of the posts that I do now, I do across LinkedIn and Facebook. And as soon as the software that I'm using adds YouTube, which they say is going to be soon, I'll actually be posting all of the notifications and things to YouTube as well, so that if you're following us there, which if you're not subscribed, make sure you like, subscribe, ring the bell, all of the YouTube things, so that we can grow those numbers as well. We're here to help the MSP community. Oh, and maybe, have a little sip of water. I did not pour a whiskey tonight. That's one of the things I should have done. And ask me anything without a whiskey, I don't know what I'm doing. Oh, and hashtag not sponsored. CompTIA. If you're a member, great. If you're not, look at joining. ChannelCon is in Vegas this year, so that's definitely something that you might want to check out. All right. I don't see any comments. I'm going to go over here and just really quick, I am going to say, hey, Facebook, just to make sure that those comments are showing up. Showing up on Facebook. For whatever reason, we are still not live on LinkedIn. I don't know what happened there. Let me try something real quick. No, for some reason it's just not there. Even though, it says it should have started by now. I'm going to guess that this is a restream problem. And we're not going to try and diagnose it right now. So let me go to the YouTube live stream and just say, hey, YouTube, to make sure that comments are working from there. And there we go. They are. So if you are watching right now on Facebook or on YouTube, which evidently is the only two places you can be watching us right now because LinkedIn is not working, please, go ahead, comment, ask me something, open to it. And since nobody has started off with a question yet, let me go ahead and where did I put it? I put it over here somewhere. Let me maximize that so that minimize the distractions and screen share for a moment because I think this one is interesting and I think everybody should probably have a comment on this one. Reddit, one of my favorite places to go for this stuff, right? And I don't know that the age of the CEO really makes a difference. What's funny here is the actual post. It says, we have a boomer client finally transitioning employees to work from home. Interesting because they've probably been working from home for a while, or at least did over the pandemic, without consulting us as they instructed employees to take photos or do Pinterest mood boards of their home office space. They compiled all 125 into one document and asked us to source equipment that would visually match each employee's decor. Now, a couple of opinions here. Number one, my personal opinions are it's kind of a cool idea. I don't think they're going to want to pay what the average MSP should charge to do this kind of work. Because you're going to have to outsource some of this, right? You're going to have to do some things that are just don't fall into the normal wheelhouse of being an MSP. But the comments get pretty good. I would love to hear more about the response to this and how it was handled. This is one of those things that is so stupid, even after 20 years of running an MSP, I would struggle to articulate an answer for. And yeah, I mean, I get it, right? Because this is just a weird situation. And like I said before, it's so outside of the normal processes of an MSP, the normal service offering of an MSP, that it's just kind of weird, right? Now, I can understand if they wanted a standard work from home setup, right? That would make sense. But to have it match the decor, where are my air quotes? There we go. Smaller camera, I got to bring it in. Is just the really strange part, because as far as maybe specifying a desk, but again, standardizing across the work from home setup, right? So there's that. Um, there is the they're talking about still formulating a response. Now, the other thing that's interesting here is, they want printers involved. There's just a lot here. And let's see. Uh, People talking about adding stickers because everybody loves stickers. Get them painted. Although this one pulls from the Henry Ford reference, as long as it's black. What's Oh, I guarantee someone is going to slap one over a vent/fan, meaning a sticker. Um, I don't know. What do you guys think? Like, this to me is definitely interesting, and has some points to it that, you know. Oh, it's a kids show, so we can't show that comment. Um, Charge 20 times more than normal. Quote $4,000 per site, times 125 job sites. Stupid money for a stupid request. Interesting concept, and one that I don't necessarily disagree with. I mean, if they really want to do this and they're willing to pay for it, why not take their money? Right? As long as it doesn't affect the rest of your business. Let's see. Anything other things interesting in here? As a tech, one of my number one hated things is people selling projects to people for dumb stuff, when they should have said no. Yeah. Um, we can mow their lawn. I don't care that they're willing to pay $5,000 for us to do it. I work in IT, not lawn care. And yes, point well taken. This is not something that you would do on a regular basis, right? For sure. And yes, I would have a hard time recommending that any MSP do this on a regular basis or at all, because it does fall outside. Now, maybe help them procure someone who will do the design, the decor part of it, and then just be there to be the technical advisor. But yeah, I mean, this is pretty out of bounds. Huge amount of money for dumb tasks. Yeah, well, from the tech side, I definitely get this part. Why not do it? They're paying us to do it. Because no, they're paying the company to do it. I'm not getting a fat bonus for working outside my field, am I? If you're the business owner and you're looking at this, that's something you have to consider, is how are your employees going to feel about doing work that doesn't fall inside of their wheelhouse, right? So something you may want to consider. And it just kind of goes on, and buy sticker packs, for people based on their mood board. That might be the simple way to get out of it. It just, and there's even more comments in here than when I first read this morning. So super interesting. Love to see this kind of interaction. By the way, hopefully sometime soon on the podcast, we are actually going to start having a part of the show called Reddit Roulette, where we literally just spin the wheel, because there's so much. If you're not in the RMSP thread, and kudos to the moderators, because they do a great job of moderating this group and keeping it interesting, informative, and fun without dragging a lot of just unnecessary drama into it, right? This is a little bit of drama, I'm not going to lie, but it's fun. It's fun drama. So there's that. All right. Let's see. Oh, I did not mean to do that. There we go. I should probably lock these scenes. That's one of the things that you can do in Ecamm Live, which is great. And sometimes I don't do it, is because I'm designing and I just forget to lock the profile. But each one of these things, by the way, because just talking about this for fun now, um, you know, these are set up as different scenes, and I can just click right through them, and whatever I want to do, I can do. Set up different people if I'm doing an interview, all of that fun stuff, here with Ecamm Live. And you can also do it if you just want to record. We use this to record the podcast as well, because it's very easy for me to have guests sign in and have the recordings all done here on my PC, so that when I'm done, I just get to pull them right out and use them. And it must be a half an hour till sunset, because, oh, wrong button. There we go. Because if you notice, the lights in the background just dimmed. That person who lives inside of a speaker that's right over here, she controls those, and she changes, mood lighting, when the sun's about to go down. So, anyway, this is the Ask Me Anything episode. So if you are out there, please go ahead and comment. Let me put that back where it was. There we go. Lock these things so that they're all in place. If you have not subscribed to the YouTube channel, please do. We do appreciate that. If you are following this rambling that I'm doing tonight, and weird Reddit stuff, subscribe as well, because you never know when you're going to miss a live stream, and you might want to watch it later. All right. Trying to think if there's anything else. I do know that people are watching, so please, go ahead and, make sure that you are, participating. This is an Ask Me Anything episode. I know I sprung it kind of late, and I didn't promote it well, and I apologize for that. And by the way, you guys don't come here to watch me. You come here to watch the guests. I don't have a guest tonight. I apologize for that. But stuff happens. So if you are watching and you have a question, please go ahead and put that in the comments, either there on Facebook or on YouTube, wherever you're happen to be watching this. And yeah. Well, let me go troll Reddit for a second and see what I can find. There was an interesting article. I'm not going to go through the article, but if any of you heard, it looks like maybe ConnectWise is looking to sell to another PE firm. Evidently, that's in the news today. There's always all kinds of stuff going on. People asking about different solutions versus another. Don't really want to get into those. Vendors. By the way, if you're a vendor and you're watching this show, we have vendors on here too. So just go ahead and hit me up anywhere that I'm on social media and give me an ask. I'll send you the link to schedule with Calendly. Let's see. That could be an interesting one, but it looks long. Oh, okay. Let's just scroll down here and find something fun. Oh, okay. So this is something that I wanted to point out because I just ran across it. Let me go ahead and pull it up here for you. Because I think this is something that the mods do that I think is really cool. And it's give a shout out today. Anyone in the industry who deserves high praise from your MSP that's in the MSP channel. So this is an opportunity for, you as MSPs, maybe for vendors also, to just give shout outs to people that are, making their life a little bit better in this channel. And, there's a ton of people out there. I think because, his birthday was yesterday, so I'll give him a shout out. Ken Patterson, if you don't know Ken, he's at Taylor Business Group right now. Sorry, I've been working with Taylor Works this week too. He's at Taylor Business Group. And, if you don't know Ken, he's a great resource in the industry. Like myself, he was an MSP. So he comes from that understanding of, how an MSP is built, what your needs are. And so he really, does a good job of sharing that. So that's going to be my shout out, which should have been yesterday because that's when this post was, and because it was Ken's birthday yesterday. So there's that. But what I think the shame here is that there are zero comments on this, and I'm as much to blame as anybody else because I think this is a really great thing that the moderators of this Reddit are doing, and I wanted to call that out. I wanted to call out the fact that I think they're doing something that we all should participate with and in, and make sure that we are propping each other up in the channel because it's so, so important, especially when things just kind of get weird sometimes. All right, let's see. Curious how to grow an MSP. Well, we could have a whole conversation on that. Unfortunately. And by the way, Rick, if you are watching, the reason I didn't send you an email is because for whatever reason, I can't get to the screen that has that link. Although, you know what? I do have it saved somewhere else. So let me see if I can look this up really quick. Because you guys on the live stream, you don't really mind, right? Because, you're just watching here for fun tonight. So let me look this up real quick. And by the way, if you have any questions, please throw those in the comments. We do really appreciate the interaction here. And I just need to find the email that goes out. Okay, sorry guys, I did stop talking. I apologize. If there's anything else in the news that you want to talk about, that's fair game as well. Oh, okay. Now I have to go to the, there we go. Because it's not in the email template, it is in the location. All right, so there's that. So Rick, if you're watching, here is the link to that guest thing, and hopefully it's going to pop up on my screen and ring bells and tell me, and give me somewhere to click so that I know where to open that up. All right. Let's see if there's anything else in Reddit that we can talk about tonight. Otherwise, this is going to be a very short program, which is fine. I didn't really expect much tonight. Next week, actually, that's what I should do, is I should tell you who's on next week, right? So, because that's in that same program that I had to go look the other thing up in. So who is the guest? Oh, yep. It's going to be a good one next week. It's Tracy from Huntress. And she's going to be talking about the Great Neighborhood Watch program that they have. And so if you don't know about that, I would definitely tune in for that one, because Tracy's always, first of all, she's a great guest, period. She's got, so much knowledge and experience in this industry to share that I'm sure that, you're going to learn something. But then on top of that, you're going to learn about Huntress's Neighborhood Watch program, which by itself is absolutely incredible for an MSP, because it I believe the main premise of it is it allows you to use Huntress internally, which everybody could use, all the tools that they can to protect themselves, so they're not the source of a breach, right? All right. I don't know. I'm just not seeing a whole lot that is really reaching out to me tonight. Chat GPT. We can talk about Chat GPT. I'm not going to probably bring up that article, but um, what are your guys' thoughts on Chat GPT? That's because to me that's an interesting one. Um, I've, oops, that probably sounded great when I hit the microphone. Uh, I have used it for some interesting stuff, not as a to produce final product for me, but if I want like some brainstorming ideas, like on some titles or some descriptions or something like that, I'll use it as a starting point. And I think one of the places where MSPs can use it primarily is in marketing, because let's face it, guys, we're technicians first. We didn't come out of school with a marketing degree. We didn't want a marketing degree, and but marketing can be expensive. Although, I mean, let's give credit where credit's due. Hiring a marketer, somebody who knows what they're doing, is going to get you results faster. However, I also know that a lot of us are kind of DIY folks. We're technicians, that's what we do. And so, doing things ourselves is something that we kind of like to do because, again, technicians also tend to be lifelong learners. And so we like to learn new things. And marketing is an interesting mix of the creative as well as the technical, almost the math, the process, the statistics side of things. Because yes, you have to have creative stuff to put out there. You have to have content, right? But you have to also have a process for not only putting the content out there, but also for watching and monitoring the content. Because the old Peter Drucker quote, what gets measured gets managed, one of my favorite management quotes of all time. If you don't measure something, you're not managing it properly. And with marketing, that is especially true because marketing, you need to be trying new things all the time because marketing is changing all the time. What works today may not necessarily work the same tomorrow. And so you need to do what works until it stops working, and you don't know when it stops working unless you measure it, or it's too late and you've already spent more money than you should into a dying proposition. By testing it, by measuring it, and doing a little bit of new things from time to time and measuring those, you will be able to continue to evolve your marketing and make sure that it's relevant throughout the life cycle of your business. So I know that's kind of me getting on my soapbox about that, but ChatGPT is a great way for you to create content as an MSP, to create just some little articles, some Facebook posts, some LinkedIn posts, depending on where your customers are, right? And being able to post regularly without having to create that content on your own, right? I think the two most powerful things for an MSP that wants to do their own marketing in terms of content, because that's just a piece of it, right, is the combination of Canva and ChatGPT. Because ChatGPT will give you the content, the written content, the ideas, and then you can very quickly go into Canva and create something that looks professional that you can post. Now, this is not going to be a substitute for a real marketing person and a real designer because those people have experience. It's just like us, right? We have experience dealing with IT, but you want to make sure that you you have the tools to do it yourself, or you're hiring somebody else. You don't want to just drop it. So we do have a comment from YouTube. So thank you. An interesting discussion would be MSPs seemingly jumping into the MSSP world without proper experience, or conversely, why is managed security being pitched as a new MSP revenue opportunity? That is a great topic, and I am more than happy to talk about that. Because you're right. It's been a few years. We started talking about MSSP probably in terms of an evolution of an MSP to an MSSP. I think we started talking about that more than 5 years ago. And it is not, I think in that time, we have figured out that it is not an easy thing for your everyday MSP to become an MSSP. It is very specialized. It requires expensive people and expensive processes. To be a proper MSSP, you really have to have a SOC. You have to manage it, right? Commenter goes on and says, certainly there are more complex compliance requirements, but an MSP should manage IT with security considerations. So yes, I think not every small to medium-sized business needs an MSSP. I think there is a certain level of security competence that an MSP can provide given the tools that are out there. Okay? So, but I don't think that makes you an MSSP, right? I think the MSSPs that have found success, who have done it well, are actually reselling their services to another MSP. Or they have two divisions, right? They've actually split it into an MSP and an MSSP because they are really, really separate. And MSSP is so specialized that it does need to be separated from the MSP practice itself. Now, can an MSP still do it? Yes, but it has to be a very well-funded MSP. You have to be able to invest the money in the salaries as well as the SOC in order to properly stand up an MSSP. And if you are the typical MSP, there are more than enough resources out there so that you can go out and hire someone to do that work for you, so that if you have a client that has above average compliance or security concerns or regulations that apply to them, that is something that I believe, and if I was still an MSP today, I would be outsourcing. Which actually brings up another topic that I don't know if I want to cover it tonight or if I want to cover this in a podcast, because this would be great. I think this would be great information for Justin and I to cover in a podcast. Is, are we moving away from MSP? Like the actual definition of MSP, the managed services part of it, the managed IT, the outsourced IT part of it. I think that there's a faction that is, because I think there is so much commoditization in the actual endpoints and the cloud services that doesn't necessarily require management anymore. Because if a laptop breaks, they can just go to Office Depot and buy one and turn it on, put in their Microsoft 365 credentials, connect it to 365 or connect it to Google Workspace and connect it to the cloud apps that they're using and just carry on. Because as long as they have a connection to the internet and as long as they have their cloud applications to access, do they really need a managed IT services provider depending on their size? I think there's a point at which the network needs to be managed and that productivity suffers if you don't have that managed IT in place. So I think there is room for an IT services provider that just does consulting, okay? Who goes in when needed and says, okay, this is what the system needs to look like. set it up this way. Here's my bill, go forth. I think there's an opportunity for that. Is managed services going to go away? No, it's not. Is MSSP going to replace MSP? No, it's not. It is a different thing. And, thanks for bringing it up, because I really do think that there are some vendors out there who I don't see it as much anymore. I'll be honest. But in the past, there were vendors who were really pushing MSPs to transition to be MSSPs because they were trying to sell them a security stack, right? I don't see that as much out there anymore, because I think the industry is kind of self-corrected and gone, no, MSSP is really a different thing, and MSP needs to continue to stay separate, and all of those things. So again, thank you very much for the comments. If you have anything else, please let me know. Join in. And with that, yeah, we're moving along time-wise here. And so I don't know if there's anything else that you guys really want to talk about. That was a great topic. I love the dynamic of how MSSP and MSP has kind of separated there. And yeah, commoditization has not happened yet for the MSP, because, and here's why, and I think some of the other commenters in the industry will probably agree with me, that the environments that business clients use are still a little too complicated to not have an MSP. And that's why I don't think MSPs are going away anytime soon. I think where it makes sense to have a consultant rather than an MSP is in a very small company where literally everything is in the cloud, and you could lose all of your physical infrastructure in your office, go to Office Depot, buy 5 new laptops, and be back up and running in less than a day and have no loss of data. That's a possibility these days if you're using the commoditized services that the cloud allows. Now, that doesn't take into account security, and I think security is something that is important, but I think that there are services, and this is where that person could use a consultant and an MSSP, for example, where the MSSP is doing the monitoring and handling the security, and the consultant just comes in as needed to deal with, anything new, anything that's changed. Now, so where does that put us? Because that's an interesting point. Where does that put us with the recurring revenue model? See, that's the downside of becoming a consultant, right? Because they don't need you all the time. But is that really true? Because as a consultant, I think I'm probably using the word consultant wrong. If I think about it a little bit more, because obviously this is just literally just me talking tonight, right? So it's almost like the VCIO, without making it too formal. Like, it's a VCIO, but consultant is a softer term to use with smaller businesses, right? I believe that there's probably still a monthly recurring revenue opportunity there, because I think you should still be involved in at least the monthly activity and meetings of the leadership of that, even a small company, right? Because things are changing so fast in this world that I think they need to be advised on a monthly basis on certain things, like security, like new things that come up in their industry, things like that. So I think I'm going to have to think about this a little bit more, because I think there's an option here that's not MSP. It's not strictly consulting. It's somewhere in the middle, so you still maintain that opportunity for recurring revenue. All right, we have another comment. Do you feel that monthly printed newsletters are a good way to build relationships with prospects prior to running them through direct response campaigns? You know what? I think, and this is probably an unpopular opinion, I think that snail mail is back, right? We don't get as much, or at least I don't get as much junk mail as we used to. And therefore, I think there's an opportunity to putting physical mail in their mailbox. Now, is the right answer a newsletter? I don't know. Um, I used postcards back in the day. Postcards worked very, very well for me. In fact, I used Robin Robbins, and who, by the way, boot camp is either going on or just finished up. I have a little bit of FOMO because I'm not there, but I used Robin Robbins. She used to send out. There was a postcard that you got every month. It was a PDF or some kind of graphic format. Actually, I think it was Microsoft Publisher. Now that I think about it, or at least one of the options was Microsoft Publisher, and you could go in, you could edit that postcard, and then we had several hundred printed out and sent out every month. And I think that I probably got somewhere around 5 or 6 leads per month out of that. So probably a 2% response, which is about normal. And I'd probably convert half of those. And so if you figure the average worth of an MSP contract just over a year, that more than paid for itself. So I would probably start, if I'm going to do physical mail, I would start out with a postcard. And but you could try a newsletter. The great thing about a newsletter today is that you can probably have ChatGPT write most of it, right? So you have a big leg up over 10 years ago when I was trying to do it, because it would take me hours to write a monthly newsletter. You could probably drop that down to, probably an hour now, even with laying it out. So a lot of options. Would I do a monthly printed newsletter? Yes, I probably would. It wouldn't be the first thing I tried on prospects, because a lot of times I would use newsletters. To me, were more for uh, the actual clients that I had, because there was always something new. There was always something I could sell them. In Florida, it was lightning season for half the year. And so, UPSs were always part of the newsletter. But if you're trying to generate leads off of, just trying to send them out to, say, a targeted list of attorneys or doctors, or I'm going to say it, dentists in the area, I would use postcards first, get them into your funnel. Once they're inside of your funnel and they've expressed some kind of interest, then start sending them the newsletter and go from there. But great question. Really do appreciate it. I do think that snail mail is making a comeback, and I think it's worth trying. Again, to my earlier comments, marketing is something that you try, you measure, and then if it works, you keep doing it until it doesn't work anymore. Well, don't wait till it doesn't work anymore. Watch the numbers, and as soon as you see a trending decline, that's when you stop doing it, so that you can know that you can move on to something else. That's, again, also why you test things as you're always going along, so that you can always have something in your back pocket ready to replace that thing that's starting to decline. You already have a best guess as to what the next good marketing tactic is going to be. All right. Well, I think we probably have exhausted our time. Unless somebody else has another question, I'm more than happy to stay on here. I have time. And I know that there's still a couple of people watching. So if you have questions, please let me know. If you haven't yet, please go over and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, ring that notification bell to be notified when we post new videos. If you weren't here for the beginning of the show, we do have a podcast now. So Justin Esgar is the host. If you don't know him, he is a Mac consultant out of New York, owns Virtua Computers or Virtua Consulting, as well as some other companies as well in the MSP space. And, I got Justin because we don't necessarily think alike, right? And it was partly his idea. I want to, make sure I give credit to where credit is due. And I think that the two of us together it makes for an interesting podcast just because we have different views on different things. And then, of course, we're bringing in guests. Next week's podcast is Paul Green, marketing expert in this space. Uh, dropping some really interesting knowledge that I think every MSP needs to hear. And then we've got more interviews, and then more, just Justin and I kind of throwing ideas back and forth on some of the podcasts as well. You can catch that on pretty much all of the podcatchers now. I know it's, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, Audible. And then, of course, we put the video on YouTube on Tuesday afternoons. They always release on Tuesday. I've got plenty queued up so that, even if something happens and we don't get to record a podcast one week, there's enough podcasts to keep us going for a little while. So, let me see. Okay. So, by the way, my not a guest for this evening just messaged me. Let me see if I can get him on here and see if we can have a better conversation rather than it just be me. So let me see if it lets me let him in. There we go. There's Rick. Let me assign him to a guest spot and do interview times 2. And there he is. Well, Rick,
how you doing?
I'm doing well. It has been an interesting evening. I've had lots of technical difficulties. For whatever reason, we are not streaming on LinkedIn tonight. I'm just glad that when I sent you the link, you were able to connect because the interview window was not even showing up for me. Thankfully, it popped up.
All right.
So, how are you
Well,
doing?
I live off my calendar, and our get together was not on my calendar, so
Well,
I just happened to look up, saw your link, and I went, "Oh no!"
yeah. Well, my fault because I didn't send it to you earlier, and I probably should have sent you a calendar invite for this as well. But
That's
thanks
all
for
right.
joining me. How is my favorite part of Ohio?
Excellent. The weather is outstanding, 75 and sunny, and
Nice.
loving it.
Yeah, we hit. I think we hit 81 today, so it's starting to get a little warmer than I would like, but
Yeah,
still not bad.
yeah. Give me 70, 75 all day long.
Yep, that's pretty much perfect. In fact, we skipped that. We were a high of 61 yesterday and a high of 81 today, so we
Hmm.
kind of skipped the 70s somewhere. Hopefully, they'll come
Yeah.
back for a little while.
Right.
So you had something that you wanted to bring up tonight that I thought was interesting. So why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about it?
Well, I've got so many things going on. I'm trying to remember exactly which one it was. Um, and
Okay,
forgive me.
well, I can find it. Let me give
Yeah,
me a minute.
find it. I've been working heavily in tech marketplace, so I believe that's what it was.
I
I
think
wanted to
so.
do a little bit of question and answer, not question and answer, maybe survey or find out from the real people on the street. Right? I own a little MSP, but I'm not heavy into the MSP game for my own revenue gain or profit. Um, I just keep hanging on to the same customers I've had for 20 years, and I've moved on, to the distribution component, and then I'm really heavily into improving the supply chain of the channel
Yep.
and the way things that run, in my opinion, are just far too analog and need to be digitized. And my vision of a good deal of how the MSPs will interact transactionally anyway with their customers will be through a marketplace. The majority of what we offer to them now is as a service, a
Mm-hmm.
subscription. It's a license or something that we have to send a monthly recurring invoice to them for, and then of course we have to manage on behalf of them the scaling up and down of their licenses and things of that nature. And the buyer's journey has changed. I mean, the people who are now in the positions of, I don't want to say power, but it is, of influence within corporate business are millennials and people who grew up with the internet, and they prefer to buy a la Amazon,
Yes.
or they'll do a Google search or um, an internet search of the topic that they want, and then they'll find Captura or some website that tells them the top 10 of this and the top 10 of that, and they'll start doing their research and so on. And then when it comes down to, they'll reach out to their MSP or their trusted advisor, and they'll get their input and talk to them about compatibility issues with their existing environment to make sure they're not making the wrong choice that'll come back to bite them in the butt later. And then
Well,
they
and
really
that's if
would.
we're lucky.
Yes,
Because a lot
yeah.
of times they won't ask, they'll just hit buy now, and we have to clean up the mess.
And then later on we're like, oh, shame, shame, shame on you.
Yep, exactly.
Yep.
So I
And
did
now I'm going
find
to have to charge you double and triple.
I found the comment that you posted the other day.
Okay.
Um, you said, I have an idea for an app that will make it easier and more profitable for MSPs to sell subscription based technology solutions to their client.
Yep.
Before we design it, I would like to ask their opinion of what they think and what should be on it. If you want to have an open discussion about something like this, let me know. And that's why we're here.
Yep. So as you can tell, it's top of mind, even though I forgot about it. I remembered it because it's something I'm working on all the time. I've been working on this since 2018, and I've started from the other end of the supply chain. Right, there were existing applications for the vendors um, that, to some degree, worked with the MSPs, the partners, the feet on the street as it pertains to deal registration
Right.
and to get some data sheets and some partner information that then you would pull down a PDF and you would then send that to
Yeah.
your customer and so on.
A partner relationship manager or a
A
PRM.
PRM. Yep.
Yep.
And then, of course, we added to that the whole TCMA, the through channel marketing automation systems that then allowed the vendors to upload their co-brandable marketing materials, and then hopefully, in its best form, the MSP would be able to upload their database to their own private portion of the portal, and then push that stuff out to their prospects and or customers. And that's all cool. That's all fine and dandy. But if you look at it, really, it's, for the most part, it's vendors serving more
Correct.
so than it is the agent, the MSP. And still, while it adds some efficiencies in this digitally transformed world, or we're halfway there, in my opinion, things could happen a whole lot faster. And so the app that I'm talking about is actually, you know, a subscription um, as a service technology offering marketplace, a multi-tenant solution so that distributors like myself, we invite the vendors to upload all their stuff on their end. They manage it themselves. They keep all the most current data up there and everything else. And all those things that we just talked about that are good for them still happen. The MSPs, telecom agents, they can still get at that data. But then when it comes to the CPQ portion of it, the configure, price, and quote portion of it, uh, the MSP would have their own white labeled marketplace,
Okay.
and they could then register their clients into the marketplace, which is only their marketplace. Nobody else is in the back end of it seeing anything that's going on with their stuff. And they can create quotes on behalf of their customer when the customer asks them, hey, what should I be doing? And then they could either send it over to the customer, or actually the customer can then log in and see the cart that you created for them, and potentially approve that, and have that then even begin the provisioning process. If it's a truly digital solution that's being moved um, on behalf of the customer, whether it's an antivirus or a Microsoft type product or a UCAS product or whatever, it can then place the order and then even send the order to the customer with a key code or a download, or any of those traditional things that we do today.
Hmm.
But all of that can happen with the MSP in control. And this is important, very, very important, because if we don't develop this piece and part of the supply chain, the vendors, by way of the fact that the buyers are going to insist upon it, are going to end up going direct.
Yep.
Right? The customer says, "This is the way I want to buy," and if the only way I can buy this way is by going to the individual uh, vendor and placing my order, then so be it. But what I want to put in place is this multi-vendor solution that gives them and the MSP the ability to do all of these things that they've been doing for them forever, and still have the commissioning happen in the back end.
Yeah.
So the distributor's still there. They're necessary because the vendor needs to recruit new agents. They need to educate the agents, with product awareness and things of those nature. So the distributor's still necessary. The agent's still necessary because of the relationship and their feet on the street.
Hmm.
And then they earn their commissioning, albeit it's in a different form, because they have this tech marketplace that they're able to work through. Value proposition for the customer is just the speed and ease, but also the management of those licenses and that spend. How difficult is it for the MSPs to keep track of that stuff and bill monthly? How difficult is it for the customer to track all of those things and their renewals? And this would actually create a much easier process for that to happen through.
Yeah.
That's my vision, and I really want to ask everybody, you know, um, good, bad, or indifferent, what would you want to see on it? Because I'm going to build it. Um, it's in the process, and I want to make sure that we get it right. User interface is going to be important. I mean, I really
Yep.
honestly see that the day will come when a sales account executive from an MSP, or the business owner of the MSP, doesn't matter, ends up in a conversation with a CTO or a CFO, and they've got a tablet in their hand.
Yeah.
And the conversation just goes, hey, John, how you doing? What's going on in the business? Is there anything going on that you think I might be able to help you with by applying technology? Tell me about it. And then you have that business conversation, and then if you come up with it at that point, you can turn the tablet around and go, well, I'll tell you what, I've got a few options here. Let's talk about these things. And you're right there. You
Yeah.
could actually do a quote and close that quote right then and there if you wanted to.
Yeah. And
And
that's important.
oh, absolutely. How many times have you closed a deal because you were the first one there and you could offer the transaction?
Well, and it also goes back to the buying habits that you were talking about earlier, where I mean, for better or for worse, we are used to buying from Amazon now.
Yep.
And so we expect immediacy. And the immediacy of being able to place the order, which is one thing that this does. And then
Hmm.
also the immediacy of delivery, because what you're talking about is automating the provisioning and everything as well on the back end to make this happen. Now,
Right.
a few minutes ago, I wasn't ignoring you. I was looking at my phone, but it was because I was looking up a book that I read. This is probably 4 years ago now, maybe 5 years ago even, called Platform Revolution. Have you read that book?
I have not, but
Okay.
there's a ton of them coming out, and I'm an Audible book kind of guy.
Yep.
I've
Well,
got a
that's why I was looking
library.
on my phone because it's in
Yeah.
my Audible library.
Okay. There you go.
And it talks about applying the Amazon platform methodology to other industries. And I think that in a nutshell is what you're doing is
Yeah.
you're applying the Amazon method. You are becoming the platform, the intermediary between the buyers and the actual sellers to facilitate the process.
Yep. And the app that I'm talking about, or the platform I'm talking about, would be at no cost to the agents. Doesn't need to be. The
Right.
distributor is getting their couple of points on all the transactions anyway.
Right.
The commissioning doesn't change for the agent. There's no reason for it to. There's still the same relationship that everybody's
Mm-hmm.
counting on. That's ultra important. That they need to be compensated for, and the work and effort that they're putting into it. But from a vendor perspective, I just don't see any downside to this
Yeah.
other than, hey, the internet went down. You know,
Yeah, of
well, you know
course.
what? If the internet goes down, we got bigger
We got bigger
problems.
problems. Exactly. So, I usually do wrap these up around 8 o'clock.
Okay.
But thanks for joining. I really do appreciate that. And I think if you're really looking for more feedback, number one, if people are watching this now or watching it in the future, please just go to the group at Mention Rick. He's in the Facebook group, and you can leave him feedback there. And Rick, I would say probably the best thing for you is if you have an idea of what questions you want answered, go ahead and post a poll in the Facebook group to get the questions answered that you're interested in. Because I think this is something that does deserve a little bit of groupthink, right?
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think that's
I
what
don't
the
want to
group
build it
exists for.
in a vacuum and build something that they don't want.
Right.
I mean, they're at the end of the day, it's their customers that we're all serving. But the one person who seems underserved in the supply chain is the MSP, the agent.
Well,
I keep saying MSP, but
right.
it's anybody who's the agent that's talking to the
Exactly.
customer.
Well, and I think there's a reason for that. There's a logical reason why that is. And it's because there are so many small ones.
Yep.
And
But
that's
this tool makes even the smallest agent look like an international superhero. Look
yep.
at the tool I've got, right?
Yep. And I've been talking about this for years, right? I've been talking about how the majority of MSPs actually purchase like consumers rather than like businesses,
Yes.
strictly because of their size. It's not because they're less mature or anything like that. It's just they're used to the quick, easy, convenient of a B2C motion rather than a B2B motion.
Yep. I need something. I'm going to go to AppRiver.
Yep.
And in the beginning, AppRiver didn't have a partner program, but MSPs were still buying from them because it was convenient and it was
Yep.
quick and easy. They were one of the first of the digital era, if you will.
Yeah. I
Um,
had several vendors like that. I think Jungle Disc was one of those.
yeah.
Um, Trying to think because I'm sure that there were others
Mm-hmm.
that I purchased from without making margin on
Yep.
because my client needed it. I wanted to buy that way, and it just made it easier. And I made my margin on their managed services contract, not on provisioning that piece of software or service or whatever it was.
Ubiquity is a hardware company that most of the small MSPs are just going to the Ubiquity store and buying, their APs and their switches from them because they like the way that it's managed and they can manage it across
Yep.
all of the devices. And if you have a really good relationship with your customer, they don't mind that you put a little bit on it to make it worth your
Right.
while. But even if you didn't, So anyway, I think this is a dream come true, and I'm about to make it happen. And I just want to get all the input. So thanks for putting me on and giving me access. I'll be at all the shows. Anybody can get a hold of me through my website. I'm a very, very reachable guy.
Yep. You absolutely are. All right, Rick. Thank you very much. Have a great evening.
Thanks, Eric. You do the same.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.
All right, everybody, that is going to do it for tonight's live stream. Hopefully, it wasn't too all over the place. I do want to thank those people who commented and gave me some questions because those were some great things to talk about. I'm really appreciative of the fact that you gave me those things to talk about. And then, of course, I want to thank Rick for being on here tonight and sharing his new project with us. Actually, it's not new because he's been working on it since 2018, right? But I firmly believe that it is something that this industry needs because we don't buy the way that we used to. And MSPs really want access to everything, but access in the way that they want to purchase it. And I think this is going to be a great idea. So if Rick reaches out in the Facebook group and puts up a poll or asks a question in the group, please do him the favor. If you do have some feelings on this, some opinions, some answers on how you would like it to work, please go ahead and reply to that for me. That would be great. As usual, that's what the Facebook group is for. The Facebook group is for supporting this community and growing everybody so that we just make the whole industry better and better. All right. That'll be it for tonight. Thank you guys very much. Have a great evening.